So welcome to this beautiful sunny Friday, 24th of March 2023. I've got two amazing groups for you. And as you can probably tell by the backdrops, those guys have gone to a little bit of effort, but they're coming up on the next team. So stay tuned, tune in on YouTube and have a look at their team. But first, we've got Desi and his team, and we're going to present their project feedback to David and his team. So it is, who's the first person to talk? Remind me again. Sandra, I'm going to hand it over to you then, Sandra. I will start the stopwatch as soon as I hear your voice. Good luck, everybody. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, good morning, everyone. It's so great to see you all again. Firstly, I think I speak on behalf of all of us here as to say thank you for appointing us. We are very much looking forward to working with you all and delivering a project for which you guys can be very proud to show off. As I'm sure you've seen just behind you there, we have some refreshments for you, so please help yourself. But otherwise, I'll get right into it. The next slide, please. So, as you all know, we are here today talking about what we are calling Project 1900, meaning the renovation of a brick-built two-storey 1900s factory building and conversion / fit out of 3 separate shops with flats on the second story. Our PM Desi will be taking you a bit through this in further detail shortly. Now, speaking of the introduction to the team. So for those of you who haven't met everyone yet, I'd like to introduce you to our project manager, as I mentioned, Desi.
Hi there. Nice to meet you.
Des has been with the company now for 17 years and has been imperative in delivering some of our best work to date. You are in very good hands. Our site managers, Sam.
Hiya.
And Dee.
Hi.
We'll be working with you on rotation as and when required, based on the shift. Our head of projects here, who you definitely know, Shika.
Hi, everyone.
And of course, myself, Sandra, who I have met you all, Health and Safety Manager for DS Construction. Just to make sure you are all aware, DS Construction will be acting as both principal designer and principal contractor for Project 1900, and we'll work with you closely to ensure everything runs smoothly from start to finish and, of course, by the deadline. So now over to the main man himself, our PM Des, to take you through some site details.
Cheers, Sandra. Thanks for that. As Sandra previously mentioned, is a refurbishment, obviously to the factory, which is going to be 3 shops downstairs and 3 flats, obviously on the second story. So just going through the actual site layout of what we put it together. What I think would be best is we're putting a site hoarding around the actual front on School Road and around the side part of Bramley Road. Obviously, that's going to be timber. And then for environmental purposes, it's going to be the Harris fencing that's going to be on the back and to the side next to the river, which obviously doesn't stop any access to anybody actually to some of the drains that's on there. So the layout that we've actually gone with is the welfare offices, which is going to be double stacked. That's for there with actually on the ground, it's going to be sorry. So sorry, apologies for that. So which is double stacked offices, that's down there, and it's going to be the welfare down below, obviously the toilets and the showers. The upper story to the offices is for the contractors and the actual site team of D&S Construction, with an office obviously what's visiting for the client. Got skips in the corner, obviously, which is going to be for any kosh, obviously paintings, and a bund, obviously, area for the actual diesel for the machines that's going to be bunded. And then obviously down the side where obviously the skips, the general waste, metal, and let's say for any plasterboard that's there. So the way we'll position these was obviously for access and easy, obviously of turning for removal into the site and actually dropping off delivery. The actual the parking, what's down here on both sides, so in front of the actual welfare offices and from the back of the building, has actually already been redeveloped. So we're making good use of this, obviously, by using that. So we actually parking for these for ourselves, and then for the contracts to the back of the site, we'll plant storage that's down there as well. So the front section, we've got the material storage. So sorry, Shika, if you can just take us on to the next one, please. Sorry, yep. So what we've got down is, as mentioned on the previous slide, We've got the external storage for plant items, machinery storage, containers for general site materials. Again, it's going to be for the actual fixings for the plasterboard, any electrical equipment that's down there, any plumbing material, so it's locked up on there. And then, as I mentioned, in the corners, away from the actual site cabins, is the containers for the hazard material for Kosh. So if you can take us on to the next one, Sheikha, please. So again, this is just I obviously the sheets just saying where obviously what we've got on the site at the moment for like a ledger. So just obviously for the toilet blocks, parking, temporary footpath, what we've got on the outside perimeter, and evacuation routes are exact. But if you can take us on to the next slide. So we've gone with obviously for the site traffic management plan. So we've got two traffic marshals, obviously for any deliveries that's going to be coming into site. So one either entrance to stop deliveries, to stop access from people coming out the farmhouse or the direction from the school that's on School Road. And obviously from the entrance from Barnby Road onto School Road. These will only take place, we've asked for deliveries to be delivered during the period of between 10 and 2. So it doesn't affect obviously for school in the morning and school in the afternoon. So obviously that's what we've gone with from this side of it. As you can see, deliveries and waste removal, deliveries between 8 and 2. Site the main entrance, we've got double gates down there for access, which will be obviously done by the traffic marshal, making sure he's taking deliveries, anything that's coming in, taking the signing them off for the invoices that's coming to site, and the single pedestrian gate, which will be obviously the site staff coming into and visitors that'll be entering, and they'll be entering to security to get sign off, obviously for coming into site and for ready for inductions. The site's obviously speed limit, what we've gone for is 5 miles an hour. So site traffic plan is keeping pedestrians and vehicles apart. So main gate entrance, vehicle, school, obviously for vehicles and pedestrians, crossings, access to parking area, walkways, barriers, visibility, no obstructions, minimizing the vehicle movements, plant storage areas just shown on the previous slides, and controlling movement onto site by using 5 miles an hour speed limit. The people on site, the trained personnel that have been inducted, drivers, the operators on site, 10 in vehicles, obviously the 10 in circle installed for vehicles, which was between the actual the skip areas and the welfare facilities, and visibility aids, obviously for drivers, plant and vehicle marshalling, lighting, obviously from there, and the IVIS clothing, signs and instructions, induction training, obviously provided for the drivers and visitors when attending for site. Next slide, please. I think it's over to you, Sheikha, now.
All right, thank you, Des. Hello, everyone. As you all know, as on every site, we will have some do's and don'ts, which will be clearly and easily understandable and will be brought to the attention of everyone who's working on site and is expected to follow them. These will be communicated during site inductions, and the details of the site rules will be included in the is also included in the construction phase plan. So just there's quite a few, but I'm just going to touch base on a couple of them. Site inductions will be carried out before the work commences. We will have safety PPEs, so safety footwear, hard hats, high vis must be worn at all times when on site. The use of mobile phones within the work area is not allowed. For safety reasons, obviously. No one will be allowed to smoke. There is designated areas for that. Everyone is expected to follow the safe system of work as set out in the company's method statements. We've got safety signs and notices to be followed by everyone. And obviously, as you all know, we will need good housekeeping. Just a couple of these are the ones that I've just went through. There's quite a couple of them. So if anyone has any questions on that, I'll be happy to go around and go through it later on. All right. Site security. So we've got so necessary steps will be taken to prevent access to the site by unauthorized people and trespassers. This is also in accordance to the Occupiers Liability Act, where we need to ensure that non-working people or trespassers are not put at risk on site. So we've taken into account the following, as you can see on the slide. So we will be securing the boundary with lockable gates, front road and side road, as was shown on the site plan earlier. And suitable timber holding arrangements are there to prevent unauthorized access. Just to note that the barriers will be checked regularly and to ensure safety throughout the duration of the project. Pedestrian gates at the entrance, this is managed by traffic marshals, and the single gate will be managed by security. The perimeter of the site will be identified by suitable signs, which we expect everyone to follow, and it's there for everyone to follow, and it will be fenced off with and secured where practicable. For potential hazard area, these are also securely locked, such as the cabin with containing hazardous materials, plant items and equipment. We've also have a security HUD at the entrance for individuals to confirm their identity. So workers and visitors will need to sign off and complete the register. And there is 2 CCTV installed to prevent unauthorized access and just to support for HAC monitoring. Moving on to document control. So document control for this 1900 project will cover, it's just for the management, modification of construction documents, and these will be on site. So a couple of documents that will be available in the site office and on the notice board as follows. So there will be registers, working time regulations sheets, accident books, COSH, safety data sheets to be stored. We've also got the fire assessment, the risk assessment and method statements available. We'll be storing the construction drawings for everyone to have access to them. There will also be copies of the construction phase plan, the PQQ, permits, licenses and notices will be on the notice board for workers and everyone. We'll also have the health and safety policy. Just to know that documents such as contracts, plans and everything are also stored onto our common data environment for everyone else. Thank you. I'll move on to Dee now.
Good morning, guys. I'd like to give you a brief overview of our on-site fire safety, which will include our fire safety checklists, the fire risk assessments, our fire safety action plan, and an evacuation and escape checklist. All these forms will be held on our document control. The forms that we got were from the CBIT, the GCO2, GCO3 and GCO5, just if you was of interest. We'll only be using 2 types of fire extinguishers on site, which will be Class A, the water-based, and Class B, dry powder foam. This will be reviewed throughout the project in case we need to update our fire evacuation plan or our extinguishers. If you would like to take a look at our plan, we have that. That's it. Thank you. It clearly shows our fire exit plan routes and our assembly point. So our assembly point is where the star is, and the triangle is where we have our fire extinguishers. We also have a fire blanket in our kitchen area in our welfare unit, and also we have installed wireless call points throughout, as you can see from the green circle. I will be taking the register for the roll call if there was to be a fire and everybody made their way safely to the assembly point. And I'll also be speaking to the emergency services when they arrive. We have clear lit signage of fire exit points and again our assembly points. If there's any questions, if you can ask them at the end of our presentation. Thank you. Now I hand over to Desi. Not Desi, sorry, Sam.
Nice.
Oh, no, it's Sandra.
No, it's me.
Sorry, Sandra.
Right. I just added that in just to keep you guys on your toes, that's all. So this here is our accident and emergency plan. This is just to give you a bit of a rundown of, touch wood, we don't expect anything to happen, but unfortunately in the situation that it does, we have it well in hand, and this is how we would respond to it. So a level 1, what we class as a level 1 type incident, accident, or injury, temporary or remedial is what it says there. This would be something minor, and if resulting in an injury, one of our first aiders would be able to manage this on site, and more than likely carry on working. Level 2 could potentially result in a hospital visit, and level 3, this is what we would consider the most serious accident, in which case we could not get the person to hospital and the emergency services would need to be called. We would, of course, ensure that the person's emergency contact were notified, and if it had to be reported, would do so as and when necessary. Could we go to the next slide, please? So off the back of that, the accident policies, I just want to reassure you all, we have absolutely covered all bases when considering the risks of all tasks carried out on site or throughout this project. A safe system of work is a formal procedure which results from systematic examination of a task in order to identify all hazards. It defines safe methods to ensure that hazards are eliminated, which is what we have tried to do, or if not, at least minimize the risk, which, yeah, of course, that's our intention here. So this morning, our RAMS, our risk assessments and method statement were sent over to your health and safety manager, Tony, for review, outlining the planned works, our methods, along with associated risk assessments and cost assessments, the work to be carried out by subcontractors, site arrangements, emergency arrangements, and just general site management. The purpose of this is to make sure we are working in the safest way possible at the end of the day. The next slide, please. Okay, so during the planning stages, we have considered our planning permits needed prior to and throughout the build process. So as I'm sure you're all now aware, very exciting, we've received the planning permission back for the shops and apartments just last week. So we are in a very good position currently to carry on with the current start date of April 17th, the proposed start date, sorry. We have notified the HSC by submitting our F10 just yesterday, and we are in the final stages of getting our health and safety pack together. We are just waiting on that PQQ to be returned when possible, please. Dean, I know we caught up last week, but if you could get that over to me ASAP, I'd really appreciate it. So then we can wrap up in preparation for our site setup in the coming weeks. And the next slide, please. Okay, so the induction, the fun part. We have put together a approximately 25 to 30-minute induction, which every contractor or worker will need to attend prior to starting work on site. In the initial weeks, we will be running scheduled group inductions. Then after that, it will be as and when required throughout the project. So this slide in front of you outlines the main points on our induction, but there's plenty more, which I'm sure you will all learn soon enough, as we will be asking you to please attend should you wish to come and visit site. Most importantly, we want all contractors and visitors to very clearly understand our high standard of safety on this site, the emergency procedures that we have in place, as well as their duty, all of our duty, to adhere to the site rules, ensuring that they are kept safe and keeping other people safe whilst at work, as per the Health and Safety at Work Act in 1974. We will, of course, have a health and safety notice board by the site register, so the team are reminded of this each morning when they come to work, as well as regular toolbox talks and evacuation drills to keep these procedures top of mind. So I will hand over to Sam now. Next slide, please.
Hello, everyone. So our company takes mental health very seriously. We have a system in place that supports mental well-being for all management and employees. We have an open door policy, so we totally encourage communication. And if stress is recognised on our projects, we do everything in our power to get that person back on track. Next slide, please. So likely signage you will see around site and important ones to look out for. Please be mindful if coming to site, we do have a 3-point compulsory PPE, as the sign suggests, and more, which is task specific. We will be well prepared with extra PPE for you on your first visit. So please just let Desi know when you are coming. Desi, back to you.
Thanks, Sam. So yeah, thank you for letting us present, obviously, this presentation to you, the client, and any questions, just, come along and ask.
Okay, as is traditional at this point, let's just give it a round of applause, please, guys. Come on. And okay, can I open up for the first question then, please?
I've got a couple of questions. Dee, you mentioned that you're the fire marshal. If you're not on site, who steps in?
Good question. So potentially I'm going to be on site all the time, and as I said within my my presentation, that things will be reviewed throughout the project. So if I'm not on site, then that role will be handed over to somebody else and updated on the notice board.
So do you have some other people that have
Fire safety trained? Yes, on site. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Desi, I've got a question for Desi. You said you got a turning circle for lorries that come in. Is that correct?
If you look onto the plan and get the plan back up onto that section. Sorry, Sheikha, I don't know if you can obviously pull that section back up onto the site plan. Sorry, just bear with us a minute. So
yeah, no problem.
Yeah, if you can not go to the smaller plan, obviously it's Sheikha, sorry. Yeah. So what it was is when you're coming into the site, Pete, sorry, Mikasa, between the site parking and where the skips are and where the no parking area is, obviously that's going to be the parking for, like, say, site staff that's coming onto there. That's what we're using as like reversing into and actually backing up to the skips, or dropping off into the actual skip area. So the skips for that and the cosh area, that's what we'll be using. But that'd be done by the traffic marshal when he's entering the site.
Yeah. Sometimes the only point I'm trying to make is sometimes you have Arctics, you get these big wagons which have the actual forklift attached to the back of the truck. So sometimes it's
a Moffat.
Yeah. So sometimes wouldn't a one-way system would have been better than actually trying to get these vehicles. You don't know the size of the vehicle, and also you're trying to reverse into a space.
Well, that's what they're asking on the deliveries, Pete, when they come to site. So we're minimizing it. So if anyone's going to come in and it's a drop-off or a delivery as a forklift, or it could be like an excavator machine that's on there, then that's right. I mean, as I said, the plan is not exactly to scale to show that where you can actually get a vehicle. So past where the parking is on this green section to the back of the building, that scale that actually be moved and actually dropped off to actually allow that to come in, to actually drop the actual equipment off on there. If it was anything else, as I said, would agree with them. I totally take on board your point. Not an issue at all, because that also actually affects obviously when it's coming into site as well, and that's why I was on about with the traffic marshals to actually stop any road that's in there. But no, it's a good point to take on board. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Sheikha.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you have a room which got all your drawings, your manuals, certain regulations, accessed by everyone. Is that right?
Yeah, we did say some of them are stored in the site office. Yeah.
I mean, presume you're working from home and you need access to a manual. So how would you get to that? Would you have to come back to work to get to that particular, information that you're trying to source?
No.
So how would that happen?
Like I covered earlier, like there will be documents stored on site, but we also have a common data environment, so a software where everything is uploaded. So anything such as, throughout the projects, we'll have O&M manuals and everything. These can be accessed online, so onto our database.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that.
Two very good questions there, Pete. Sorry, I've got to intervene there. They were two very, very good questions, sir. Very, very good.
Sandra, I've got a quick question for you. You mentioned that you use subcontractors on site, which is fine. That's normal practice, and it's good to see you bringing some specialists in. How do you vet those subcontractors?
We have a PQQ that gets sent over to them. We actually, there's, well, it is generally myself as health and safety manager who will go through. We get references from other people that they've worked with. Just for your own peace of mind, we're actually using contractors that are very well known to us. We've been using them for several years ourselves, so we've got experiences with them already, and we trust them. So yeah, very comfortable with who we've got coming.
That's good to hear that you've used them before, definitely. Des, a quick question for you. You went through some, could you bring the slide back up that shows the quantity of welfare facilities? That's the one. What quantity of people did you base that on?
The ones what we've got from at the moment to start off with was actually because we was on about it peaking, but possible to like 80 staff that was in there. So we're working on, like, obviously you got one toilet block, so on there's one cubicle, 2 urinals that's in there. So again, it's just mentioned that you've got it's five cubicles that's going to be there, 1 urinal set, you know, from that side of it. That's why we're saying with everything for outside of there, double stacked, including the ones for the ladies, the female, you know, general neuter that we've got there, trying to separate it from there.
Oh, that's clearly up really well, because yeah, I noticed the numbers. I didn't appreciate that those are actually toilet blocks rather than individuals.
No, yes, it says that what I think is there because when we typed it up as enclosed one, so basically that was 1 block, Dave, and it's from there is to say that that's that, you know, it's not 1 cubicle and 2 urinals from that side of it. No, so yeah.
Oh, no, that's great. You've cleared that out. You also mentioned you've got a smoking area on site.
Yeah.
What's your policy on vaping?
We have that up from there, but not in the same area. Obviously, from that side of it, it's separate from there. So where we've got on the site plan, it's because also by policy, it's got to be 1.5 meters away from the building. So that's what I've kept from there, and they're actually down to the probably like say 2 meters down there. We didn't fit that on, so that's, you know, that's us not putting that on the plan. Okay. But that's not the smoking area.
Okay, that's fine as long as it's been considered. That's good.
No, definitely, it's on that side of it.
And also on welfare, I presume you just haven't put it in. There was a disabled access toilet with low threshold access.
It is for that, yeah. So because it's like wheelchair accessible as well. Because again, from that, I know we're in there, but you're someone turning up onto site and stuff from there. So yeah.
Okay, fantastic.
Des, how are you going to manage the site security the 24 hours of the day?
What was doing at first, sorry, Morgan, was going to be, it's going to be a roaming patrol that's going to be on the night time, but we're going to do 6 while 6, obviously with the security on site. The more as the site gets built up with obviously more, like say, more material like copper going in and obviously the cables from the electricians and the plumbers, then that was going to change, so that would have a 24/7 security that was on site. As Sheikha pointed out, there's 2 cameras. The 2 cameras that we've got there is going to be point to point, so it was going to be covering also what I've used on other projects, what I wanted to with yourselves to show the actual work carried out. So it gives the, like, you know, the actual shows you the build being done at the time. So if you wanted to show that later on for other projects.
Great stuff.
That is. Oh, Jamie, go on then. You can have the last one. Jamie, go on then, Jamie.
Sorry, hi Des, are you okay?
Depends what you're asking.
You mentioned about skips for like hazardous waste.
Yeah.
Is that more of a lockable area, or is it just a general skip? I'm just a bit concerned with.
No, what was no, good question, Jimmy. So what we had in the corner, I know it says skips down there because trying to get obviously done, like I said, on the plan was we had it set up as going to be. You've got the skip for the obviously, which is lockable for what you get for the paints, so empty paint tins that's there. We've got the diesel Bowser that's there, which is bunded from this side of it, and then the storage unit that side of it, which is another container again bunded, but for other hazardous substances that's going to be on there. We're trying to keep away from the other materials, which is the stores at the front of the building, and actually near the site hoarding, so there's not that mixture of the two together. So they're in the corner away from there, and then you've got the general waste and obviously metal and plasterboard down below from that, but again not close to that.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. I was just a little bit concerned. It was just open to the elements as such. So
no, it's
thank you
lockable.
for
All
clearing
the
that up.
yeah.
Let's give it a final round of applause, guys. Well done. Great questions there, boys. Great questions. Yeah. Really good questions. Probably the best set of questions I think I've had in a long time, if ever. Really good set of questions there. Really good. Right, let's stop the recording.